I never know where to look on these things.
Right, so we're back. Apologies for that. Technology is not our friend, but we continue. I can't actually remember what we were chatting about, Dom, but let's pick up from Sellerhoff and some of the top horses that you've had in this phase. Now, we've spoken about Best Endeavour, we've spoken about Turf Kid. You got to Sellerhoff, and I'm talking about jumping horses. Who were you riding? What was your string? I mean, when did Last Step come into the picture? I'm just thinking about some of the big ones you've had.
I've been really lucky because I've had a couple of very, very nice horses. I had a mare that I imported from Germany called Galaxy. Unfortunately, as she got into the big classes, she jumped one or two big classes. She actually won the Shongweni Derby. And then she unfortunately died of colic. And she'd had surgery, and then coming round, she twisted her gut again or whatever and had another surgery and didn't make it. So I had her for a brief time. She was a very good horse. And I had Last Step as well at that time. He was a wonderful, wonderful horse. He was careful, very scopy, not the fastest. Excuse me. Again, I don't know. I think he would jump all the jumps easily now. But was he quick enough to win now? I mean, you look at what those horses, how fast they go, and you've got to have Ferraris on steroids now. You know, they've got to be big and strong and super fast. He certainly would jump many clear rounds. You know, he was a big old-fashioned horse. I won the World Cup Series with him. I won the Outdoor Grand Prix with him. He won a number of really good classes. He was a fantastic horse to have in your string. I had a mare for pleasure called Fedora. I won the South African Show Jumping Championships on her. She was very, very scopy. She was actually bought for a girl called Claire Alberti, a Zimbabwean girl. And Claire stopped riding for some, I don't know what reasons. And she went back to Zimbabwe, and I then competed the horses. She actually had 3 horses. She had Doc Holiday, Butterfly High, 4, Billy, and Fedora. And Doc Holiday and Butterfly High landed up going with Kaylee O'Connor back to Europe. And then Billy the Kid jumped with Jodie Peters and jumped him into some big classes. And then there was Claire had another very good horse there called L'Amour that also was sold and jumped down in Natal. And I then got Fedora. At that time, we had a number of young horses producing them all the way up. But you know what it's like. You get some that just aren't really good enough. Some I had to train and try and sell to make money to buy other ones. It was, you know, my move when I moved in here to Sellerhoff. Karen had 1 or 2 dressage horses, which were youngsters that she was breeding, and then she sold that we would sell them. A couple of them were really good dressage horses. Tadeusz bred very nicely. And he was a bit of a dual stallion, so he could go both ways. I had a fantastic horse called Sellerhoff Toscana. I had a very nice mare called Tristadi. They were all Tadeusz's, and they all were really good horses, really, really good horses. Zakana, shame he actually just died just the other day, like 3 or 4 days ago. And he was 28. And I jumped him in the big classes, and he was an amazing horse, really amazing horse.
If you had to pick one, is that possible? I mean, you said that was my best.
I think the best horse that I've ever had was Barracuda. Barracuda was not the easiest horse in the beginning because he'd had a bit of a rough start. But my word, Aidan, he was fast, superbly careful, brave, and I think him and I just got on really well. So he, I would say, was my best horse that I've ever had. He still is with me. 25, retired, still has his daily habit, his little ritual. He, as soon as he's had breakfast, he stable walks badly, and he runs around the stable, because when there's any action in the yard, a horse leaves the stable to go and work or anything like that, he lands up getting upset. So we put him in the crush. We've got a crush under the solarium, under the lights. And every single day of his life, after he's eaten breakfast, he goes and stands in the crush. The door's open. He just likes confined spaces or something. And he just stands there every single day of his life. So yeah, he was definitely the best horse I had.
A lot of the good ones seem to have these eccentricities. Tell me about your string that you have now. You've got Kojak, who's coming up, and then you've got Athena and a few for Ross and Natalie.
Yes, I have. Yeah, I'm really fortunate. You know, without sponsors in this game, you can't survive. So Natalie and Ross R&R have been amazing. I've had them now for a year. This is my second year being sponsored by them. And they've also given me a couple of horses, which is very nice. So I competed there, Natalie's grey horse, Gulliver. And he was just an amazing, straight down the line, easy to ride, brave, kind, nice horse. And I jumped him actually in a couple of World Cups and last year, and he did really nicely. And a very nice horse. But we've now swapped horses. So Natalie now has Gulliver, and I am very fortunate to be riding her wonderful horse, Yalla. And he doesn't come from Cape Town, Yalla. You know, he's not colored. he's a grey horse from Belgium. And he's a very, very, very good horse. A little quirky, got a very big opinion and a very big personality, but he's jumped some big stuff in Europe. So I look forward to, after we get out, I've been preparing him to go and jump some big jumps again now. So I look forward to having that. Then I've got my very faithful Simon Murray with his wonderful Athena. What a great horse she's become in my string. In the beginning, I really battled with her. I found her very hot and very strong. I don't like hot or strong. And anyway, we've come together, and she jumped very well. She got a ticket in the Derby this last year. And she's amazing. I mean, she has developed as one of my most favorite horses at the moment. You know, she's really good. I've got my young horse, Kojak. He's very naughty. I love him. He's got lots of opinion and personality.
What's his stable name? What's his stable name?
You know, depends on how good he's been. If he's been bad, you can imagine. But no, we call him Koji Berry.
Okay. I thought there was like a Telly Savalas in there or something. Most people are too young to remember Kojak, but I thought maybe Telly Savalas or something would come up. Dom, what is your type of horse? I mean, a lot of people say, well, that's my type of horse. What type of horse is yours, and why? And you know, what do you as Dominey suit?
I said that I like to be able to put my leg on. I say that Barracuda was the best horse I've had. He went in a loose ring snaffle. He jumped in over each boot's bandages in front his whole life. He never had any back boots except wraparound back boots on behind. He had blood, but he wasn't hot. So he had his own engine, his own motivation, but he would walk out on a loose rein. You could hack him easily. You could put your leg on him and canter him down to a jump. You weren't sitting on eggs all the time. He, for me, I think is what my perfect ride is. Sensitive, but not, I don't like hot. I don't do hot. I don't like that jiggling and that bouncing.
Sweating and.
Yeah, no, I'm better on a lazier horse than a hot horse.
Yeah.
My young horse.
Do you like to ride them to the fence, or do you like to hold them off the fence?
I like them to be able to. I'd like to be able to put my leg on to create power, but they must be able to back up and jump. I like them when they can run down and they jump away from the front rail naturally. I mean, I suppose we all do, but I've been very lucky that I have had those. And I think that the young horse that I ride for Ross and Natalie now, Capital Coleman, I think I was actually saying to Karen today, he's the closest to Barracuda that I've got. Goes in a loose ring snaffle, ultra careful, but brave, very scopy, blood, but not hot. Actually really simple to ride, really, really simple to ride.
Yeah. You've won just about everything that there is to win, except of course the Derby. Is that a big one? Is that eluding you? Is that something that you're just scratching your head going, why? And also talk about the Derby. Is it as big as, 10, 15 years ago, even everybody was like, that's the one that I want to win. But with the World Cup series, and we've talked about the evolution of jumping and where it's gone, is it still the pinnacle, the be all and end all?
I think for some riders, yes, it is. Definitely not for me.
Do you say that because you haven't won it?
No, I say that because I don't think I've really had a proper Derby horse. I've jumped around for faults on a couple of horses.
You've been second a few times, haven't you?
Yeah. So I would like to win it, but I have to tell you, for me, I've enjoyed the World Cup series. I love that. I think the consistency of it. I've won the World Cup series 3 times, and I enjoy it. For me, that's the show jumping. That's the show jumping I like. But having said that, now I've got Athena, and she was fantastic around the Derby. I mean, she just jumped for fun. I was so surprised because she's very brave. She got on a rhythm that day, and I just hit jumping out of the dike. I mean, how stupid. Everything else, she jumped perfectly. And when I was younger and I was trying to get Best Endeavour off the bank, he fell sideways off the bank at Ananda and fell over, and Gonda had a horse called Channel Isle that also didn't like the bank, and I was the crash test dummy, so I went off the bank a few times head first, and so that is for me the worst jump in the whole world. I mean, why does anybody want to go down there?
Yeah.
And I would rather go and jump Grand Prix after Grand Prix. It doesn't matter, make it big. I like that and technical. But
did you ride the Ananda Derby a few times?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was.
Now that was a bang.
Well, it wasn't. It was just a hole in the ground. Do you remember? I'm sure not, but Lincoln with Tracy Carney.
Yes, I remember.
Got to the top and just launched himself into this abyss. He Neverland. Off he went.
I'm sure Mike Benjamin's horse did the same kind of thing one year as well, just
at KP. Yeah, at Kyalami Park.
Yeah.
It was that Alessandro, wasn't it?
Yes,
big black
that's the one. In fact, looked
and
a lot
went
like
down
it.
at Michael. Yeah. No, it was. But in training for the Derby last year, Athena was amazing. She just. I've never had a horse do the bank well. When I did the bank with Last Step, he was awful. He slid to the bottom of the bank and he landed like a ton of bricks. I tried it with Enjoy. Enjoy was not a Derby horse, so he didn't like it at all.
No, did not enjoy.
No, Fedora got to the top of the bank and put her hand up and said she didn't want to go any further. So that's why I've never really loved the Derby. But I have to tell you, after having jumped Athena around, I think you must come and see. I've built a big bank to practice, and I've got new steps and
new motivation.
Absolutely.
And now the virus means we may not have a Derby this year, Doms. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, then I'll be even better prepared for it the following year.
We'll have it at your place.
Yes,
You've got the bank now.
The seller.
Tell me, did you, apart from your assault on the World Cup finals, was the horse Torch Sign or Torchlight? Flashlight.
Yeah.
Apart from that, and tell us about that, but any other overseas stints?
Yeah, I was fortunate that I rode a lot backwards and forwards with Rainer Schmeglat. Rainer sent a lot of very good horses to South Africa a long time ago. And I was very fortunate that I rode there with him. I would go over and ride and do the summer with him. I worked at Schockermuller's for a while. I worked with a guy called Gert Wildfang, who's also one of Germany's top riders. I trained with Jos Lansing, been and stabled with Jos Lansing and was at his barn just outside Lenaken near Maastricht. I went to be at Manly for a short stint. It was very short. I think it was a day and a half, and I decided that this wasn't for me.
Yes, I believe there's quite a funny story. He didn't realize you speak German.
No, he's a very good rider, a very talented rider, but he wasn't very friendly. So no. I just moved on. Yeah. So, but it's been, I think I've been very fortunate because I really have ridden a lot overseas with horses. I've seen so much of the world and met people, and a memory came up on Facebook the other day of all of us when we went to New Zealand, and we used to go to the Horse of the Year show, and it was Yaku Faree, Andrea Harrison.
Oh, I saw Tracy Carney was there.
Tracy, it was Jonathan Clark, Lorette,
Jonathan.
Harry, and myself, and we've done that a few times. I think I've been 3 or 4 times to New Zealand on teams, and I have to tell you, you meet such nice people, and through horses, I've met so many nice people and seen so many nice places and been privileged. Whether I wasn't competing, but I mean now in Gothenburg when we were at the World Cup final and being at all the big shows. Not last year, the year before with Lisa, it's a privilege. Like I say, I am one of the lucky people in life that say that every day I do what I love. I mean, some days I would love a aircon and an office job, but I wouldn't give up what I do. I love it.
Very quickly back to Flashlight. It was Milan, was it?
Yes. Yeah, Milan, yeah.
How did that go?
The World Cup final. It was buy for pleasure. I've had very good results with horses buy for pleasure. Fedora was buy for pleasure. Flashlight was buy for pleasure. My Coleman is out of a for pleasure mother. So I like the line very much. He was only an 8-year-old at the World Cup final. He was the youngest horse there, and had the greenest rider on his back, for that kind of level. So he was absolutely amazing. Brave, super scopy, little quirky. They all are a little quirky, the for pleasures. But man, did he try his heart out, and it was Rainer Schmeglat, his girlfriend at the time, Susie, and their son, her son Leonard, and me driving around Europe competing, in a van and with old Flashlight in the back. And off we'd go. And we went to Poland and Warsaw. And our second in the World Cup qualifier in Warsaw with him. Yeah, I must say that I still have a yearning I would love to go to a World Equestrian Games. I would love to be able to take a horse that I've produced, that I know that we've got a relationship. Look at Lisa and Campbell. Look at the relationship they've had over years and years, and look what they've managed to achieve. You know, when I stood at the in-gate on the final day for the top 20 horses at the World Cup final, and I stood there, I didn't know what my horse was going to do down one line. Everyone kept saying, well, is it a 4 or is it a going 4 or a waiting 5 to a double? And somebody asked me, and I said, well, I don't know. I don't know what mine's going to do. I've only been riding him for 3 months, you know. And I think that's where we have a disadvantage. It's very hard for us. Sean Neal had the same thing when he went overseas. You know, yeah. I would love to be able to go to a World Games on one of my horses.
You trained with Jos Lansing for a while over there. What was that like? Because obviously the ultimate rider, horseman, but he does. I mean, I've never chatted to him, but I would be a bit scared chatting to him because he just comes across as a very hard taskmaster. What's he like? What is his professionalism, his work ethic?
He was, let me tell you what the first thing that happened is that when I went to Switzerland, I was left at the airport for 5 hours. Eventually, I was supposed to have been collected. And I have no problem with not being collected. I'm a big boy. I can find my way, get on a train, take a taxi, do whatever, and go to the stables. But 5 hours later, having finally got hold of this person, I was then told I had to make my way, which I was a little irritated by because I'd been sitting in the cold for however long. When I arrived in Holland, Jos Lansing was in the car waiting for me outside. And he just was amazing. I promise you, for such a world champion, he was humble. He was so nice to talk to. He had a good sense of humor. He was a beautiful rider. And he was wonderful to be around. Wonderful. Kept it simple. You never saw him pulling the horses around or anything like that. And he was always meticulous. He is so A-type, it's unbelievable. But OCD, you know, or CDO, he was, everything was in place. You know, he was the ultimate professional, but also very humble, very nice.
When you were growing up, riders that were your heroes, South African riders, and then also international riders who you really enjoyed watching?
You know, I mean, we always loved the Whitakers, and I mean, they're just amazing. They've done so much for the sport. They've evolved with the sport, which is amazing. You know, it was David Broom and Jeff Billington and people like that. And of course, Gonda Beatrix, you know, Gonda, I don't think the younger generation of today don't know what an unbelievable sportswoman she was. I mean, she was, in my eyes, she was better than Meredith Michaels or BZ Madden or any of those. Yeah. Gonda was better than them, I think.
Well, I remember reading things as a very young girl when she went over, and people were saying the school was one of the best. She would be one of the greats. As a 16-year-old, I think she went over.
Yeah, that's
right. And riders that when you went into the ring, like formidable competitors.
Sure.
South African riders where you...
The biggest competitor, the most competitive person I've ever known in my life was Annelie Volker-Fenning. I mean, she just, you know, even nowadays, if you watch her on, I don't know the last time she jumped, I think it was at the amateur series at Burlington Cup last year.
I think she won it. Didn't she win it?
You still can't beat her. You know? I mean, she was like that in the big classes, you know. She won from day one to day 4.
I was commentating that day when I think she won that amateur series, and when we did the announcement of the prize, they all came in. She walked very slowly past the judges' box, and she just said, "I just want you to know that the combined age of me and this horse is 102." And she won that. And She won that series. So that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I think for me, she was, Gonda would always like save the horse, school the horse day one, give it a little turn back or two in day two, put a bit of pressure on and come out and debut when I say debut, but, flourish for the Grand Prix and try and save it for last. Not Annalie. She won on every horse from the Welcome Stakes all the way to the last. She tried to win every class, yeah.
Dom, your philosophy behind training of horses and your production of horses, take us through it. Are you a lots of schooling, less jumping? Are you a gymnastics man? Are you a trainer who likes to jump more courses because that's what we do when we go in the ring? Where's your head at when it comes to training young horses? And do you adapt between horses?
Aidan, I think that's the most important thing that you said, is that I adapt? You've got to be able to work every horse slightly differently. Everybody wants to achieve the same goal, but to be able to, there are different ways of getting there. You can go quicker with some horses, then you've got to take a bit of time with others. I think ultimately what we try to get with all our horses is that we try to get them just to carry themselves, natural balance. They've got to be happy carrying themselves. I don't like I don't use running reins too much. Occasionally I do. I can put any horse into a running rein, but it's not a daily thing. I'm not a big gadget person. I don't mind. I like lunging them in a Pessoa rein or a neck stretcher, or the dressage horses work in lunge and side reins. But when I ride them, I don't particularly like to use too many gadgets. I try to teach my horses to go without them, relying on them. You can use it to benefit or to give you a little bit of a boost. If you're going down a line and a horse is being really mouthy and running with its head in the air, and you've done the circles and the stops and the everything, then you can put a running rein on. But I never do it on a young horse. I never do a running rein on a young horse. I only do it on an older horse, that's established. I think it's important that the horses are happy. I like to think that my horses are happy. Some of them are a bit too happy, but I also do a lot of different work with them. So we're very lucky that we've got such beautiful grounds here. So we've got a lovely big canter track. They go on the canter track. Today, I took all my horses into the field, and we built little cross-country jumps. I mean, really, kind of a meter high, that's all. But they are barrels and they're logs, and there's a little drop jump, and there's a combination of wooden crates and things like that. And to jump, we've got a natural stream that runs through the bottom of the property, so they can canter and jump over it. I do a lot of things like that just to keep they're still working, but they're keeping their brain not in the school every single day, Yeah. I think it's good to keep them happy, because then they enjoy their work.
And in terms of the work that they do when they are in the school, are you into gymnastics? And if so, what sort of things do you like to do? Do you like bounces, or what are you trying to get out of the horses?
I think that when you are preparing for a show and you go back and if you're lucky enough to have, say, 3 weeks or 4 weeks between shows, I do a lot of footwork gymnastics. So a whole row of bounces, but not like 4 or 5, like 9 or 10 bounces. And you can make one a little bit longer than the other and the one a bit short, so that they have to react quickly. I don't do it too big. They don't have to jump it too big. But I do a lot of footwork, natural balance, teaching those to hold itself a lot. So yes, I generally like to do a lot of gymnastic work, and then building up to the shows. As you get closer, obviously you've got to be able to not just go in a straight line. You know, I do a lot of, even the gymnastics we do, everybody uses it. It's such a good exercise, the clock. My arena is perfect. I can do 3 clocks in the arena. So you can go from one circle to a middle circle to another circle. And, you know, they've got rideability is what we need in the arena. So I train a lot of rideability over small jumps. So they jump quite a lot, not big, but they do a lot of left, right, turning, bending, not grabbing the rein, landing left and right, things like that, you know. And then obviously towards the show, I build a track always. And we practice, it depends. I've been, last year, whenever we had the overseas course designers that came in to build, I would go onto their profile, I'd take a few of the courses that they built and that they've got on the internet, and then I would go and build them in my arena so that we would know a little bit the style of the course designer that was coming. They all have their own individual styles, hairpin turns, turnbacks, you know, things like that. So we would practice all of that, you know, depending on who was building, we would do that.
And tell me, a week in your life, generally Mondays are off days for riders. We mostly compete on the weekends. Is a Monday an off day for you? And then what do you do? Is there a set routine? On a Tuesday we do this, on a Wednesday we do this. When are your jump days?
It depends. So I've got 6 jumping horses and 2 dressage horses. On a Wednesday, I don't ride at all. I don't ride. I coach from 6:30 in the morning. I finish here at Sellerhof at 12. I then teach Anne-Marie normally from 12:30 to about 1:30. Maybe if she does 2 horses, 2:15. And then I come back and I carry on teaching until 5:30 in the evening. So on a Wednesday, I have a girl, Sarah, who works for us, rides for us here, and she takes them cantering on the track. So Wednesday is a fitness day for most of them. She obviously can't get through all of them, and some of them are a bit naughty on the track. So Kojak. When I told her she didn't have to ride Kojak anymore, she was thrilled. So he will lunge on a Wednesday, and the others will do fitness work. Yeah. I don't really have a set day of jumping. Tuesday, if they're a bit fresh, having had Monday off, I generally do a bit of pole work, work them in the arena. If they're really wild, they can lunge a bit in the morning and then early morning, and then I'll ride them later morning. But it just depends, you know. I try not to, I try to judge how each horse is feeling and what they're needing. So I try to keep it all a bit fresher like that.
Well, Don, there is so much that I still want to talk to you about. I'm being told by my producer in my ear that we need to wrap up. But, you know, you're a breeder as well. You have a huge passion for breeding and for pedigrees and bloodlines. But before we go, maybe, I really love to chat to you again. Maybe we'll do that soon. But before we go, there's so much that you have achieved. We know the Derby still eludes you, so you're hungry there, and Athena, let's hope she does it for you. But are you still hungry? You still get up in the morning and have that passion and that drive to get on those horses and to go and compete?
Yes, I do. Yeah, most definitely. And this year, I think, well, I mean, it was really awful because I was starting this year really strong and firing, but it's actually has worked a little bit in my favor because it's only given me a bit more time for preparation. Good preparation. Yeah. So
I suppose it's absolutely impossible to tell because as we're hearing from experts, this virus will determine the timeline. But what are your thoughts on it? Do you think we'll be back in the ring sometime this year?
I hope so. I mean, we all do. We hope that that we will be back in the ring. I don't know, August, September. Yeah. I'm hoping. You know, and then
what
Yeah,
should
then
we be doing with our horses between now and then? Obviously, if you say September, that's a good few months away. They're not getting drilled, are they? I mean, is it?
No. So today all my horses played in the field, and Aidan, if you have a good base level of fitness, my younger horses can progress now a lot. It's keeping my older horses sound and happy and fit, and then they say, okay, fine, lockdown's out. I don't need to then go and they must be good to go. So, but you've got to take your foot off the gas a little bit, and we're not jumping big jumps at the moment. We're all jumping small jumps, keeping their fitness up and strength, and keeping them sound. And the big thing is, Aidan, you saw Carolyn Anderson's mum passed away the other day through the virus in England. One of our clients, her uncle passed away also through the virus. It really is a very serious thing, and people need to take this so seriously. The whole of Sellerhof is locked down. My grooms and staff have been absolutely fantastic. They have not left the property unless we have taken them to the shop and brought them home. Everybody must be safe. Sure, it really is real.
Well, on that note, don't forget to wash your hands. Wear your masks when you go out. And keep safe, Dom. It's been wonderful chatting to you. Hopefully we'll do it again pretty soon. And to everybody out there, guys, keep riding those horses. Keep your heels down.
Yeah.
Don't do too much. We don't know when we're going to be out of this.
No, we don't.
Dom, we'll chat to you again soon. Be safe. Thanks for the chat.
Thanks, hey. Bye.